So I saw Star Wars The Last Jedi over the weekend, and as a fan of Rian Johnson and Star Wars in general, I was really looking forward to this. I avoided trailers like the plague. I hadn't seen any footage at all, so I went in very open-minded, with little expectation but a lot of trust. And sadly, I came out of it feeling let down. There's a bunch of flaws that other reviewers have already mentioned. There's a pacing issue, there's not a lot of character development, the humor feels forced, and these are all fair points to make, but for me it wasn't that. I thought about this and I think I brought it down to one thing. One single fundamental flaw. You know that yes and game where you sit in a circle with a bunch of other people and you all take turns to create a story? One guy starts with a sentence and then the next person continues and then the next person and so on. And then there's that one kid who has a completely different vision and changes the course of the story in a way that doesn't fit what had been said before. I feel like that's what happened with The Last Jedi. J.J. Abrams started the story one way, and then Rian Johnson came in and retroactively changed elements from the previous episode, causing inconsistency in the plot, in the way characters behave, making the overall story difficult to follow. Here's an example. Last shot of The Force Awakens. Rey hands the lightsaber to Luke. JJ directed the scene in such a way that Luke has a deep, sad look in his eyes when he sees the saber. In Rian Johnson's telling of the same scene, Rey hands the lightsaber, Luke takes it and cheekily throws it off the cliff. Now, I chuckled at the moment along with everyone else in the audience because we didn't expect it. But upon reflecting on it, I feel like the way that was handled hinders the longevity of these movies. Years down the line when we watch the entire trilogy back to back, these inconsistencies will feel jarring, and that was traded away for a quick laugh in the theater. A way for Rian Johnson to wink at the camera and let us know that he's in charge now. Here's another example. In The Force Awakens, Rey's vision shows her parents leaving in a ship after she gets dropped off with Unkar Plutt on Jakku. The entire theme of Episode 7 is sprinkled with hints as to who Rey's parents could be. And in The Last Jedi, with one quick line, Kylo Ren tells Rey that her parents were nobodies, some random Jakku locals. Now, I personally love the fact that she's not a Skywalker, and I hope this stays that way. But again, you cannot lay the groundwork so heavily in one direction, only to then abruptly switch course. And there's a bunch of moments like these throughout the movie. Rian Johnson does a lot of course correcting. For better or worse, it's impossible to tell yet, until Episode 9 comes out and we can judge the trilogy as a whole. But one thing is clear. There is a clash of visions between the two directors. In fact, it would not surprise me if JJ came back in Episode 9 with a way to go like, no, Kylo Ren was lying to her. She is a Skywalker, guys. She is a Skywalker. And that's the problem here. They're pretty much making it up as they're going, creating this weird ping-pong game between directors that leaves the audience in a state of confusion. However, I don't think it's Rian Johnson's fault or JJ's fault. I think the fault lies with Lucasfilm. The way they've been hiring and firing directors on these Star Wars projects shows there's a bit of a mess behind the scenes. Thankfully, the movies are still good. I enjoyed The Last Jedi, I enjoyed The Force Awakens, but I can't help feel like they could have done more with the material if only they had planned out the scripts for the entire trilogy before even going into production on Episode 7. The Lord of the Rings movies spent 2 years in pre-production, and then they shot the entire trilogy back to back, which resulted in a timeless, amazing story that transcends cinema. Lucasfilm, despite having the resources to do the same, are treating these new Star Wars movies more like the Hobbit trilogy instead, where the pre-production was rushed and the goal was box office success. And there's no denying that the Hobbit movies pale in comparison to the Lord of the Rings trilogy because of that. That said, I do have a glimmer of hope. With this new trilogy that Rian Johnson will get to helm, it seems like Lucasfilm is aware of the issue. They're giving the reins to a single creative mind and entrusting him with building the entire story from the ground up. Hopefully there will be no more ping pong, no more inconsistency or creative clashes. Hopefully they'll treat it and other future Star Wars projects less like The Hobbit and more like The Lord of the Rings. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this. I know it's a very dividing topic, so let me know if you agree or disagree. Let's talk about it down in the comments. If you somehow landed on the channel for the first time, subscribing would be a great idea because you get a lot of cool content from me all the time. Anyway, that's it for me. See you later.